Hey, folks, this is Brian Blessing. Hope you're enjoying the Hockey Betting Podcast. We have a couple chuckles, try to get you a lot of winners. Check out the hockeybettingpodcast.ca. We got a number of books that have joined up with us and have incredible sign-up offers for you to play hockey with that first deposit. Get on board. Go to the hockeybettingpodcast.ca. Click the link, sign up, and have some fun with us.
You're listening to the Hockey Betting Podcast with your hosts, Brian Blessing in Las Vegas and Cam Stewart in Toronto. This is the Hockey Betting Preview for Thursday, March 4th, 2021. And now live from Las Vegas, your host of the Hockey Betting Podcast, Brian Blessing.
All right, here we go. Let's have at it. The Hockey Betting Podcast, locked and loaded. This is the big boy. This one takes us through the weekend. Brian Blessing in Vegas. Cam Stewart is in Toronto. Well, we had some bumps in the road, Cammy, last week, and much better this week. A lot of the things we generally expect to happen, things have kind of worked our way. That being said, goalies are the great equalizers, and in one instance, how about the coach was a great equalizer? We stepped in front of the bus with St. Louis, who scores 1 million goals, said, nope, this is the over game they're going to play with Anaheim. It was, and Vegas off a 5-4 game, and I know this is a rugged way to start your day.
Yeah.
5.5's the total. After a 5-4 game, said, nope, you watch. Next game will be different. 2-1 in the third. It's a dead under. Minnesota's throwing the sink at Vegas. Fleury standing on his head. Stevenson gets an odd man rush and scores. And then I see it in the playoffs once in a while, but with 4 minutes to go, and the funny thing is with 3:30 to go, they've got a face-off in Vegas' zone. I'm like, well, pull the goalie. You're down 2. He doesn't pull the goalie, and Vegas gets an odd man rush and Stevenson scores. If he'd have pulled the goalie, they'd have sustained the pressure. The game would have stayed under. But then Evason pulls the goalie down 3 with 3.5 to go, and the empty netter puts it over. That's a bad beat.
Oh, it's more than a bad beat. Thank God we take the sides, too. And I'll give you all the credit in the world, Brian, when we were doing our podcast for Sports Grid. You know, I'm like, let's put a parlay together. I go, I like St. Louis. You're like, you like the under. Let's put it together. Bang, we hit that. I go, I don't like what Minnesota's done with the Parise news. Take Vegas, and you're like the under. We're going to go overs to unders. And that game, as you say, was a nut under the whole time. Colorado was the last game to clip a parlay over $500. You get locked out. I'm going to tell you something. Yeah, like I'm so used to this stuff, Brian, bbad beats. Like imagine if we caught a break once in a while. I'm doing the show with Brian, guys, and I'm having a wicked night. I got the Leafs over, got everything. Things are cooking. 5-0 in college basketball. Not even like we're sailing. And I'm sitting there going, Brian goes, oh, Cam, the Bruins and Caps go to a shootout. And I try to stay positive. I go, hey, man, we've done it on the air. We've done it off the air. I go, Brian, I'm telling you. And you understand. Since you've been doing shows with me this year, I think it's 0-5.
You and I have had over the years, we could literally retire on golfers that have finished second in tournaments at like 80 to 80.
Living on a golf course.
It's not even funny.
I know.
But I'm telling you, since this entire year, Cam, I've never seen anything like it. Of the ones I know about, you're like 0-11 in shootouts.
Yeah, know what I do, Brian?
Which is a gimmick, which
is a
joke.
Gimmick. I take the things in regulation, but you have to remember this. In parlays, they don't offer that. So the Boston game, my regular play, is a regulation bet. It's void. But when you put a parlay together, you don't get the regulation. Whatever happens on the money line, right? I got to find, if I can find a book that does regulation, like overtime stuff in parlays, like I'll give them my business for the rest of my life, because I'll tell you I'm getting burned. But anyway, let's move forward. Golf story. Listen to this one, and you're gonna love this.
I know.
Producer Mike's like, hey, let's talk hockey. Hey, Mike, here's the thing. We wouldn't have to worry about it if me and Brian would clip a couple games. We'd be in a better mood. I could tell you that. Mike Weir leading in the senior golf Canadian pisses his pants. 35-1. That's down the tubes. I'm like, I could really use a couple grand. That'd be nice.
Who's the dude? The guy hasn't won a tournament.
Kevin Sutherland.
Kevin still hasn't won a tournament in 35 years. Birdie's the last 3 holes.
Listen to this one. I got Lydia Ko. She goes in her pants. She comes second. And then I got Billy Horschel at 100-1 second. What are the odds of going second, and one of these guys is 100-1? Anyway, Let's talk hockey.
By the way, try to keep them focused here as we're taping this on Thursday morning. You've got Jason Kokrak for the tournament, but you got him to lead the first round at 50-1, and he's tied with McIlroy.
Yeah. Rory McIlroy hasn't had a first round under par in like 3 years. Oh yeah, hey Rory, thanks for showing up. Like
I just the shootout thing.
I have to laugh. So stupid,
buddy. It is. It's a marathon.
It's just so dumb.
The funny thing is, we're watching the shootout kind of. I was watching it. You couldn't watch it. The Boston game last night, and I'm telling you, it's almost like if it's gambler or it's because you're on the guy in the shootout, which is a gimmick. You got to see all these Boston guys. You know, Marchand, all these guys. They got more skill in their pinky. They couldn't even get shots off, Cam. It's like the puck bounces off their stick. I go, oh, it's like Marchand's like he's coming in going, all right, Cam needs this. And it bounces off his stick.
No, yeah, that's why he misses. He remembers me covering the Journey of the Cup and me telling my cameraman, man, there's a lot of weirdos in that Boston. But anyway, what do we got going on here, Bri?
Well,
Where do you
let's
want to
go.
start?
Well, folks, don't forget the sign-up offer at Sports Interaction. It's a good one. 100% match bonus up to $125. All you have to do is go to sportsinteraction.com/hipcheck. All right, let's go. Gangbusters here on Thursday. Philly and Pittsburgh. Phillies minus 30 on the road, total 6.5. I said this to you. I would watch for this, and the angle's going to be in play here in a bit. But Philly had a couple of walks in the park against the Sabres over the weekend. Pittsburgh gets the news Crosby's out, and they're favorite at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh smokes them. So now it's the rematch game. Philly started to get their guys back. The total, Cam, mixed bag, but I'm seeing some sixes out there. This is a tough one for me. But in the rematch spot, slight lean to Philly, but I don't like the game.
I agree. I don't love this game at all, and I actually don't like the total. Last game was very, very defensive, and then it got offensive, probably over. But we're not going to force plays. We're just going to talk about things that we like. I will have a small play on the Philadelphia Flyers in a revenge spot. I think they get it done. And kudos to Pittsburgh. They got it done without Crosby. But this game, I think Philadelphia understands. Rivalry game, they show up. Give me a short price with the Flyers.
And then you get the monster number, and you got to find a creative way to play it. Carolina is back home.
I got to be honest with you, Brian. I don't think Carolina's a lock tonight.
Well, here's the thing, and I know we were kind of on opposite sides of it. I did have Carolina the last few games on their road trip, had them at Florida twice, and then had them and got the empty netter in the game at Nashville. That Florida series, Carolina, Florida, that was really good hockey. This is such a good team, Cam. Sandwich game, right, though? I mean, your first game home, and then Florida's coming in. I don't know.
I'm going to tell you this. I worry about Carolina because they were lucky to beat Florida. They were very lucky to beat Nashville.
Yes, they were.
It would have been a good pick by me. And if it wasn't for Saros, one of the worst goaltenders in the league. God, it's amazing, Brian, me and our luck. The one time I need Columbus to beat him, the guy's like, Saros, best game in years. I'm like sitting there going, usually I wouldn't put him on my men's league team half the time, right? But anyway, I think Detroit, let's put it this way. I'm not betting Carolina. And I'm not putting Carolina in parlays. To me, it's Detroit plus 1.5 in parlays or nothing. I don't like the game.
All right, current form, Cam, quietly, and this is what we said would happen all year long. All of a sudden, Winnipeg leapfrogs their way up to second place in the North. They're 7-3 in their last 10. Montreal, they finally get a win for the new coach. Montreal's 3-4-3 in their last 10. Now, I think Montreal's a good team, and they'll right the ship, and I still think they're a team that's going to be in the top 4 in the North. But current form, it looks like Winnipeg to me, but plus $1.30, I think I'd take a shot.
Yeah, I was looking at it, Brian, but I just think the game is bigger for Montreal. Also,
it is.
I looked at the Montreal game where they lost to Winnipeg and dominated now at home without the fans. If the fans were there, I'd be actually more worried, as crazy as this sounds. Kind of reverse psychology like producer Mike uses on us, right, Brian? Like we got to be a little bit slicker. So I'm going to say this. We're going to take Montreal here. I don't like the price, so I'm either going to take these guys in regulation. We can find a dance partner at that price and turn it into a nice plus parlay. I'll find something else on the card that I like. But I like Montreal. I think they outplayed Winnipeg. Both games they played them, they got snake bitten by hot goaltending. Montreal comes back and gets it done. If Allen's in net, I'll love it even more.
All right, here's one, Cam, I think you could take a long, hard look at. This is Florida's at Nashville. Florida's $1.40, $35.40. The total is 5.5. And what I will say to you, pal, here we go, jumping in, starting a new batch of games here. It's a 2-game set. Earlier in the year, our premise works. The first game when Florida played Nashville, it was 6-5, and then the game after was 2-1. Over in the first matchup, under in the second. I think I'll go even with Bobrovsky and Rinne. I'm going to go over the 5.5 in this game.
I don't mind that either. I don't know what side to pick. I think Florida's the better team, obviously. Nashville's kind of Jekyll and Hyde, and I'm like you now. It's funny, we do shows every day. We might as well be married. Just tell our girlfriends to get a place. They can be the Golden Girls, and we'll just sit and eat wings and get drunk and watch hockey every single night. That's basically what we're doing, but we're doing radio shows, right, Brian? I like the Florida Panthers as a team, but I don't think this is the best spot for them. So I'm agreeing with you. I think we're going to just attack this game from a total perspective. I have a feeling Florida, they've been really playing well. This could be like a night. This feels like kind of like a take a night off type of game. Nashville, they're at home. I lean Florida, but I like your over more.
All right. And if we were married, I could probably tolerate it, but you snore.
Oh, yeah. No, I got a sleep machine. You'd be like you'd be wrapping that cord around me like an anaconda. What? Yeah, don't worry about the shootout. You're dead.
Cam, can you turn the vacuum cleaner off? It's not the vacuum cleaner.
Sorry there. You got me. No, it's true. I'm an absolute disaster sleeping, and it's a real problem.
Tampa Bay's at Chicago.
If I won some more games, maybe I can get a better sleep machine. I can get the Cadillac of sleep apnea machine instead of the Pinto. What do we got going on? Tampa Bay, Chicago?
Well, first game of this possibly, I believe, is a 3-game set, Cam. If Chicago went 1-1-1, I think they'd do a cartwheel. They sign the paper in this 3-game set. But first of a 3-game set, I'm going to come right back at it and say, before the hate and the angst gets built up here. And then, the Chicago, the goaltending's been decent for them, but against these guys, I'm going over the total in this one. Same premise, over in the first game of a 3-game set. I'm going over 5.5.
I agree. I think this game, I think Chicago is going to get 2 or 3. That means I think Tampa's probably going to get 4 or 5. I like the over in this spot too. I look at a side. It's one of those things. Chicago can be like a sleeper. Tampa Bay, though, they're like the Leafs. They haven't played a bad game in a really long time. It could happen, and that's why I don't want to get tripped up. So let's just deal with the total here. I like the over as well.
All right. Now, the one I'd almost automatically say I would lean the other way, but it's the first game of a new set. But Columbus and Dallas, I'm steering clear of it. If I had to, I'd go with the over in the first game of a new set, and but I'm not doing a cartwheel. I don't know what to make of Dallas, man. What do we do with these guys?
I have an opinion on this game, and
they got 37 games in hand on everybody.
I'm going to take Dallas, and I don't like the juice. I think the line's telling you they're the play. Columbus still has many flaws, so does Dallas. But the difference is, Brian, it's what we talked about on our podcast. Dallas has been dealing with Tampa Bay, and they're like, thank God we don't have to deal with these guys anymore. I'm not saying Columbus is easy, but I'm saying it's a better matchup for them. They'll be motivated after losing heartbreakers. And I mean heartbreakers. The offense is a real problem. That's why I wouldn't take the over. I think Dallas wins a 3-1 type of old school, ugly hockey game. I like the Stars.
All right. Listen, now here's one. Ottawa is at Calgary. And I would throw this out to the players. We go through all these games, and some of these things maybe will fall through the cracks when we do this Thursday and the games are Saturday. Full disclosure. I mean, we do have a life. Sort of.
Do we?
Well, a good point. But do your homework, because sometimes you'll spot something that will spot the day of the game. But I'm telling you, the one thing that's been a gold mine with plus prices, it doesn't matter who the teams are. Teams on a long road trip, checking out. They want to get home. And it was never on more full display than when Calgary was playing at Ottawa the other night. It was the damnedest thing you ever seen. Last game, long road trip. They want to get the hell home. They come out for pregame skate. They're colliding into each other. No joke. 3 or 4 times, guys collided and fell down. And then Monahan's going through the slot area, and someone fires a wrist shot, hits him in the face. I don't even know if he played in the game. and they got pumped 5-1. Now, here's the crazy thing. They go home, they lose to Montreal 3-1. But those 3 games, Cam, Ottawa and Calgary, the scores were 6-1, 6-3, and 5-1. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Would you come right back? I mean, I'm seeing 6s, but there's a handful of 5.5s. Isn't it?
If you see a 5.5 in this game, you run to the bank, I would think. But I think this game will be 6, 6.5. Like I'm seeing different numbers everywhere, 6.5 unders and overs and the juice all over the place. Like they don't know what to do with this game. I would take over. I also think, no, I'm not taking Calgary. Ottawa's the type of team they could still trip these guys up, and the juice is too high. It's over or Ottawa on the side. The plus 1.5 seems intriguing, but they seem to pull away when they play each other. They haven't really had that close game, 6-3, 6-1, those style of games. So, yes, I think the over is the play in the game. I got to be honest with you, though, Brian, I don't love it because these guys are almost due for like, oh, here we see these guys again and play like a 3-2 type of game. I'm a little bit leery, but, yeah, I lean over. I don't love the game as much as you do. It's funny, like you don't like the Dallas game, and it's unappealing. And Ottawa, Calgary, I'm getting a lot of mixed messages with this game, so I'm probably going to pass, but I do lean your over.
And Cam,
here we go.
I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. No, I know what you're doing. It's Toronto and Vancouver.
Yes.
Toronto's playing great. Put it this way, Toronto's getting a boatload of points. They're getting great goaltending. They're at Vancouver, who's been a dog's breakfast. But here's Vancouver back home, and we've seen this from Vancouver before when they get home and they circle the wagons in the first game home, and then they vomit all over themselves again. If you were going to go against the Leafs and if you were going to play on Vancouver, tonight's the night. Whether you do it or not is up to you. I'm not.
I agree. I think Vancouver is the play here, but the Leafs just win games night after night, and I can kind of see the same movie happening. Vancouver dominating, the Leafs getting great goaltending. They get a cheesy goal or a quick one that the goaltender should have saved, and Vancouver, all the air comes out of their sails again. Like it's rinse and repeat with Toronto the way they play. It's not like they've even totally dominated. They're getting great goaltending and they're getting timely goals. But this is a spot. We've talked about this before, and I remember when I did my show, and it was that Vancouver-Winnipeg game, and people looked at me like I was, you know what I mean, the elephant man, and Vancouver crushed them that night 4-0. And I think it's the same type of game. I'm not saying the Leafs aren't going to score. That's probably not going to happen, but I think Vancouver will win this game as a dog. I think the Leafs are like cruising so much. Like, are they eventually going to take a break? Vancouver's a nice city. You can walk around, mountains, stuff. Like, I just got to believe that this game means more to Vancouver, and they put in an effort. If they do, and the Toronto goaltender doesn't stand on his head, Vancouver will win the game.
Okay, retro jerseys, finding ways, creative ways to make money, teams trying to get revenue. The Islanders are $2 at home to Buffalo. The Sabres just signed a new deal with a cardiologist in Buffalo, and the guy's logo, he's got a coal miner's helmet, and he's got a flashlight in his hand, searching for heart.
Yeah, I love it. You say, yeah, you can't tell a guy intangibles. He's got the heart the size of a raisin. I don't know, Buffalo, they're even smaller than a raisin. But this team stinks. Man. Hey, Eichel, are you going to stop sulking with your $10 million? Are you going to show up and try to win a game for your team?
And I love him.
McDavid in Edmonton, wah, wah, wah. It's everybody else's fault. You're one of the best players in the league. Why can't you do anything? You don't get points against the Leafs?
It's so bad.
Stars show up. All these. Know what? I'd rather have a bunch of Frank Furtanos instead of you guys and just bust your face every day, every night. I'm so sick of these prima donna stars. Eichel's a clown. And you know what? I can't believe I'm saying this stuff. I'm just so sick of the sulking. Get over it. Find a way to win your damn game, you know? Come on.
All these guys stealing money.
It's ridiculous.
Did you ever go look at, I told you to go look at that fight. Did you ever watch that Cousins fight? If you haven't,
I'm going to go check it out.
Please go watch
Cousins. I've always loved Cousins.
Dylan Cousins, 20 years old against the Rangers.
The best the Sabres.
The Lindgren kid looks at him and goes, do you want to fight? Cousins punches him 3 times in the face and says yes. and he's feeding them overs and unders, and the mouthpiece is flying. A 20-year-old kid is the leader of the. How sickening is that? But the moral of the story is, don't ever mess with anybody from the Yukon. Oh my God, 20 years old. It was like Roy Jones Jr. hitting the guy.
No, they're Yukon tough. I told you I lived in Yellowknife before, and there's people up there you do not want to mess with. Like, you think some city slicker thinking, like, no, this guy's like. They're not just farmer tough. Like, it's crazy. Like, they're out. The elements have made them tough. I love this kid. You're right. That's amazing. This is the Buffalo Sabres. You got a kid who's barely drinking age. He's the leader of the team, and you got some clown making $10 million whining about fake injuries. Oh, I wasn't hurt. Cougar said, I'm just so sick and tired of these guys. Yeah, I would. Hey, Cougar, your company sucks. My son says you stink. And I will say this: the Buffalo Sabres stink, but I don't know what to do because are they going to win a game eventually? Well,
Hutton's the goalie. Yeah,
over.
Yeah,
but every time they play, it goes under.
Well, for them, they can't score 5-on-5. That's the problem. All right, I have no opinion. I honestly, I have no life because I'll do it again. I can't. I keep watching this crap. Okay, I can't. I don't even want to talk about it. But here's an angle. All right, I think with the game added tonight, this is a COVID makeup game. Philly played 2 games against Buffalo. They won for fun. It was pond hockey. They were pushing them around. Then they went to Pittsburgh without Crosby, and they got punched in the mouth. I think if we're saying fade teams that played Utah in the NBA, get thumped by Utah, lose, and then they come back 5-0 against the spread, 4-1 after, because you're saying that's a frame of reference that you lost to Utah. You're going to come back and play a better game against God knows anybody. I think teams that play Buffalo, I think you fade them the next game because the Sabres are skating around with a carton of eggs under their pants, and they can make a sunny side eggs when the game's over. I think the Rangers beat the Sabres. All of a sudden, I think the Devils beat them tonight because the Rangers played this cupcake game against Buffalo. The Jersey's going to punch him in the mouth in the first 10 minutes.
Excellent point. You know what? I bet it when we talked about this last night, Brian, and I got the Devils at plus 110. It's a pick 'em now. Obviously, somebody knows something. The Rangers almost lost that game against Buffalo, too, so there's nothing to write home about. Like, people can get excited with this team right now. There's still flaws. New Jersey hasn't been playing as well, too. I think they bring it tonight. I think they beat the Rangers. I'm with you. Give me the Devils tonight.
All right, so there you go. There's your peek at Thursday. Again, don't forget.
I got to be honest with you, Brian. Hold on before we get to the stuff. Like, that was just Thursday, Friday. I don't know, like, what are we going to do with these weekend games? It's pretty far. Like, it's hard, man. Like these are a lot. There's a lot of games this week, man.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
Yeah, well, unless you want to get back to do this again tomorrow.
That's...
You're opening Pandora's box here, brother.
Next thing you know, I wake up, I'm in the back of Mike's truck with zip ties. Hey guys, I got you some new equipment.
Hey Cam, go to the front door. The FedEx guy's there with the muzzle I sent you.
It's like one of those murder mysteries. He opens up the box. I'm like, wow, chicken wings. It's a gun. Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Why is my package ticking?
Yeah, I got to be honest with you. Yeah, okay. So what are we doing here? What's the next?
We're on to Friday.
Oh, okay. Okay. By the way, go to sportsinteraction.com/hip check, Brian. That's what something like the old school. I love the old hip check where guys used to just almost eat their face on the boards. Hey, NHL, let hip checks happen. It's one of the most fun plays in sports. Guy just come down the lane, you stick out your hip and put a mass over a tea kettle. It's a lot of fun.
Our producer Mike goes, yeah, hey, we're going to do something with Sports Interaction. We need a unique promo code. I said, well, use the word hip check because you don't see it in the game anymore. No one would ever think of using it.
Exactly. See, Brian, you get it. I love the Sabres skating around with a bunch of eggs. That's the best. They do. Like that team.
Well,
watching a Sabres game actually takes hockey back. Like imagine like a guy like Clark Gillies or Dennis. Like I remember like when I worked at XM, Dennis Potvin and some of the old school guys. Like they must watch this stuff and go, "Are you kidding me?" Like it's just so.
I'm very good at stealing other people's material, you know, and then put a goofy spin on it my own way. But along the lines, I stole that one, but that one's from the 70s. The eggs in their under their uniform.
I like it,
and I don't want to absolutely give him credit, but it was along the lines of maybe it was something that Don Cherry had said about Boreas Salming. All those. I'm serious. Remember when Salming came in the lead and the Europeans and how they piled on him all the time. Yeah, and I think that was something along the lines. Yeah, well, if Boreas Salming had eggs eggs in his uniform. He said none of them be broke after the game. That one's like 50 years old.
Bruce Salmon was a good defenseman, though. So
yeah, oh yeah, he was.
Yeah. Anyway, what do we got going on?
Washington and Boston. I watched that game the other night, Cammy. That was a playoff game, man. They were hitting. That was a nasty ass.
How did
game.
Ovechkin not get suspended for that spear in the nuts? That's ridiculous. A $5,000 fine. Like, come on.
Oh, this league.
It's just unbelievable.
Do you remember the one? God, like maybe 3 years ago. The league drives me nuts with some of this. Do you remember the one when it was the Red Wings when Nyquist? He looked at Spurgeon. He just looked at him and speared him right in the face.
Yeah, that's 2 games minimum.
I think he got
fined.
No, I think he got 5 games. But I've looked at that and go, if that's not 20 games, he should have gone to jail.
You're right. Actually, you know what? I'm wrong. You're right. Like, I know what you're talking. That's the thing. Like, when you're using your stick as a weapon like that, like, there's times where guys got like a couple games and you're like, the cops could get involved. Like, you could kill somebody like that. You know what I mean? So, no, you're absolutely right there, Brian. But
all right.
a lot of dirty stick work in that Washington-Boston game, as you say.
Are you believing the total 6.5 in this game?
Oh, are they crazy? Under. I don't like it.
Yeah.
You know what? If my name the name's Tucker, not Sucker. I hope we're not suckers, but I'll tell you something. That feels like a sucker line, but I'm going under. Sorry.
All right. Then let's skip by Tampa Bay, Chicago.
Yeah, Tampa Bay, Chicago, bye-bye. We don't have time. Minnesota, Arizona.
Yes, this is the one. Well, I'm looking. I just watched Minnesota. Let me tell you something, pal.
They're good.
I like this team. Don't be fooled by that 5-1 game. I mean, Minnesota could have won that game. They threw the sink at them. That was a 2-1 game, and Minnesota tilted the ice on them in the third period and gave up, 3 goals. And I told you the empty netter thing. LA and Minnesota, when they play, they're kind of goofy over games. I'd probably go over the total, but I like this Minnesota team. How about Minnesota? And McClellan's doing a good job, but Minnesota coming out of Vegas going, okay, with a stone in their shoe, maybe Minnesota, but not laying $1.40 though.
Yeah, I look at at Minnesota too. In Arizona, they beat the Kings. Kind of feeling good about
I like
themselves.
the over. I like the over.
I like the over, and I like Minnesota. Don't love it, like it.
All right, and then
here comes you know what? I got one for you here, Brian.
Now, this is a bad number. Now, wait a minute. Here's a bad number.
Okay.
St. Louis is at L.A. Okay. St. Louis is minus 20 on the road. I told you, I said, look, I know I'm jumping on the train tracks here to play the under in any Blues game against Anaheim, and said Binnington would want to bounce back from a horrible outing, getting pulled, then sat, and St. Louis was winning the high-scoring games. Binnington did come back with a good game. But Anaheim, Cam, is the worst team offensively in the league, 5-on-5, them and Buffalo. I go over 5.5.
I like the over, and I'm going to tell you something. I think St. Louis is turning the corner. They played a more defensive style. Like, they've been letting things get out of control. And, you can look at those results. Remember, Brian, the Kings swept these guys. This is when St. Louis went into that tailspin. This has got revenge written all over it for me. I don't like to pick on LA because they can play well. Blues are getting healthier. Tarasenko, is he going to be back? What's the deal? When is he coming back? Didn't he say on the last? He didn't play last night, did he?
He was supposed to be out like the whole year, but he's close.
Yeah, he's very close.
I think it's going to take
next road trip or whatever. So I like St. Louis.
It's going to take him time, though.
I don't care if he's in or out. St. Louis is playing better. If Binnington just does his thing and doesn't absolutely suck, low price over. I'm with you.
All right. Vegas goes to San Jose. These two teams just do not like each other. Vegas comes off a really entertaining 2-game set against Minnesota. Listen, man, Minnesota was, big and heavy. There's going to be bite to this game. You know what? I'll tell you, here's the ticket. We're talking about the Friday game. I don't know. Vegas is 210. The total 6.5. There's a real thing going on in Vegas, Cam, that's under the radar. It's so unbelievable. APB's out for Robin Leonard. This has gone on, and nobody's saying nothing. This has gone on forever. Vegas caught a break when their game with San Jose got postponed, so they got a little extra time. So they've been riding Fleury like Seabiscuit. Now, the play we're doing the weekend. We'll talk about this on the Saturday game. But what I would say to you is, at long last, it has got to happen. They're playing back-to-back games. I believe Oscar Dansk has to play the game on Saturday night. So I think you want to. I don't know what I'm going to do on Friday night. You're starting a new series here, but Oscar Dansk is likely. Boy, he could play the first game. I doubt it. I mean, actually, it wouldn't be the worst idea in the world if you gave Fleury an extra day's rest and played Dansk in the first game. But I'll throw that out. Check and try to get the information. Dansk is playing one of these two games. And when that happens, you got to play the over. He hasn't played an NHL game forever.
And the thing is, I don't want to pick on third string goaltenders here, but here's the deal. A lot of the backups and third stringers have been fantastic, but I'm not sure if this applies to this game. Vegas has played so many, like that was a war that they played with Minnesota.
Fleury's played 10 in a row, Cam.
And don't kid yourself. Exactly. Like Minnesota could have won both of those games. They pissed that game away, and Vegas won in overtime, and that other game was close, and you said they dominated the third, and Vegas always find ways to win. This team is walking a tightrope right now. I'd look at San Jose as a huge dog. I'm not saying I'm going to take it, and the over.
The only thing I would throw at you is, and we'll see if we can get any information, because DeBoer doesn't tell you who the goalie's going to be. So he most assuredly is not going to tell you.
Not for this.
When it's actually going to happen. But Dansk, it's probably Saturday, Cam, but if I'm him, hey, give Fleury just play these. Well, maybe how about you give Fleury an extra? Isn't it more beneficial? Give Fleury an extra day's rest and throw him back on Saturday? I mean, Dansk, it could be the Friday game.
I agree. Like, why don't you get the kid out there, and Saturday is more like the feature, like hockey night in Canada, hockey night in the United States. Saturday night, everyone's sitting there with the family watching the game with their fans. I agree. You roll out the kid on Friday, see what happens. You put Fleury back on Saturday. I'd say San Jose's live, though, Brian. And that's the thing. Like, don't let that other game fool you with Colorado, too. They were lingering in that game. They beat Colorado one game in the 4-0 score. They just couldn't get any offense. That game was close for a long time.
Lingering,
struggling. What do we got next?
Buddy,
we're here.
Here's the deal. We're to the weekend, and I honestly, Cam, I just got to be. I don't know how we do this, because we're doing this Thursday, and all these games are going to be predicated on, what happens in the first couple of games. So I don't know what to tell you. We'd be throwing darts here.
Is this so? I'm looking at Saturday.
Well,
it's the same matchups too.
It's all the same matchups. Yeah. So
Rangers and Devils. You're right. Like, say Devils win the first game, Rangers probably come back. Buffalo Islanders, tough situation. Pittsburgh, Philly hate each other. Who knows what's going to happen there? Florida, they're all rematches.
Let's sing. All right, for the weekend, you're on your own. Now let's sing show tunes.
Show tunes are more. I don't know. How about that? We have it's a circus, Brian. Because I'm like, there's not one new series. Like, everything is the same, right?
We might have to.
I got one. Guess who's playing again? Oh my God, Florida and Carolina. Because they just played each other. What I'm looking at March 7th here. Like, I don't even know what day is this?
That's
Sunday. Oh my God!
We may reconvene. We may reconvene and do a 10-minute shorty for the weekend. So stay tuned. We'll find a way to.
Exactly.
We'll
let's call it out for what it is. It's Thursday.
You know what?
We can't look to Saturday's games. Thursday and Friday are fine. Saturday and Sunday are next to damn impossible. That's fact.
All right, we'll figure that out. So stay tuned. We love our listeners, so we got to take one for the team here.
You got it, brother. No, they've been good to us, and hopefully we can generate winners. It's been a great start to the week, Brian. Let's keep the train rolling. And the only beats we've had are a couple, and they've been bad ones. So we're going to have a night where we absolutely destroy the book.
All right. Let's go. Put a lid on it. Hey, folks, this is Brian Blessing. Hope you're enjoying the Hockey Betting Podcast. We have a couple chuckles, try to get you a lot of winners. Hey, we hope you like what you're hearing. And if you do, hit the subscribe button and give us a review, give us a rating. Most importantly, enjoy the hockey and keep coming back to the Hockey Betting Podcast.
The handicapping and sports odds information contained on this podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Please confirm the wagering regulations in your jurisdiction, as they vary from state to state, province to province, and country to country. Using this information to contravene any law or statute is prohibited. The podcast is not associated with, nor is it endorsed by any professional or collegiate league, association, or team. This podcast does not target and is not intended for an audience under the age of 18. If you think that you have a gambling addiction, stop this podcast now and please seek help.
Gambling and betting on sports is a form of entertainment and should be about having a good time. But when done excessively, it may negatively affect other areas of a person's life, such as their physical and mental health, school or work performance, finances, and or interpersonal relationships. At the Hockey Betting Podcast, we're concerned about the addiction that gambling may cause, and for this reason, we encourage everyone to practice responsible gambling, an approach to gambling that helps you ensure that it remains an enjoyable activity. Here are the main principles of responsible gambling. Don't think of gambling as a way to make money. Always gamble with money that you can afford to lose. Set limits and stick to them. Never chase losses. Don't gamble when you're depressed or upset, and create a healthy balance. Always be aware of how much time you spend gambling or thinking about gambling. And do not allow gambling to cause you to miss out on time with family and friends or time spent on other activities you enjoy. By following these guidelines, gambling can be a good time and great entertainment. If you feel at any time that your gambling is taking away from important areas of your life, is causing you stress or depression, or is leading to financial losses that are beyond your control, please reach out for help. Learn more at responsiblegambling.org.